afternoon, everyone. Call to order the meeting of the Chattanooga City Council for Tuesday, December 16th. I'd like to invite Councilman Henderson to lead us in the pledge and the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ma'am. Reading from Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. And his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace." Would you bow with me in prayer, please? God, this evening we do bow and just ask for your peace over our lives, especially during this holiday season. And we thank you for your blessings on our life. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Councilman. We don't have any special presentations today. Can I get a motion on the minutes, please? Thank you, Council. The minutes will stand without objection. Seeing none, minutes stand. All right, let's take a look at today's agenda, please. We have some items on final reading from the Office of Internal Audit. I do intend to take those as a package. We also have several planning items on final reading. Items C through I, 7C through I intend to take as a package unless we have a reason not to. If you would like one of those pulled out, please go ahead and hit your light. All right, great. Okay, ordinances under first reading, Office of the City Attorney. The first item is related to the de-annexation. Mr. Attorney, would you like to speak to that, please?
Yes, ma'am. There has been a discussion at this point in time with Mr. Sam Elliott on behalf of the town of Collegedale and the applicant in here. There has been a discussion about an arrangement here that would result in an adjustment of boundaries so that this property would not be left outside in the county by itself and would actually be part of the city of Collegedale. And we have prepared documents here to submit to the council to discuss about that. I'd like to have that discussed here, and it would be my recommendation to deny this request for de-annexation at this time because it would leave this property without the ability of being in any.
City Attorney recommends a motion of denial for item A. Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the next item B, and first of all, I'd like to thank Councilman Clark, Davis, Elliott, and Harvey for co-sponsoring that so that we could get it onto the agenda for discussion. I noticed it is also on for items of discussion over on our discussion of agenda. So I didn't know at what point or order that you wanted to take discussion of this.
You can go ahead right now.
Right now?
Yes.
Okay.
That is a remnant from an earlier agenda, that item there at the top.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. So this is, I think everyone should have a copy of this amendment in your folders. I'm going to highlight a couple of things. Basically, the two main things that this ordinance does. Number one, it places an age limit on horses pulling these carriages to 25, but it also categorizes them as geriatric between the ages of 20 and 25, which basically places special conditions on them so that they're under the care of a vet, that they're looked at a little bit more closely. The other thing it does is it establishes that pregnant mares can work up to 180 days after foaling. It also designates them as geriatric so that they are under special care of a veterinarian. And we do have the city attorney that helped me work on this. Is it Chris? I think Chris McKnight.
Yes.
Chris, if you want to come up and just kind of as you were, I guess, researching this, and by the way, I reached out to some veterinarians that I know that have expertise in this area. They all recommended and were good with this. I would just like for Chris to testify that he has also checked with veterinarians, and that what's in this ordinance is, I guess, in keeping with what they would consider to be good practice.
Good afternoon, esteemed council members. I'm Christopher McKnight. I'm with the City Attorney's Office as a staff attorney there. And I'm here today to discuss this ordinance that would amend Chattanooga City Code, Chapter 35, Article 6, Sections 35-186, 35-203, and 35-204, all pertaining to definitions, requirements for horses in service, and animal working conditions. First things first, we add a definition under the Chattanooga City Code, Chapter 35, Section 35-203, to add in a designation of definition of geriatric horse, that it means a horse that has reached the age of 20 years. So once they hit a certain point in their age, they are considered geriatric and subject to additional protections further discussed in Section 2. Those requirements, first off, they shall be required to undergo examinations by a licensed vet pursuant to Section 35-203B2 every 6 months instead of annually. So we bump the requirements for checkups to twice a year instead of once annually. Second, they shall not be permitted to work at pulling carriages upon receiving any diagnosis from a licensed veterinarian that indicates the geriatric horse has a chronic condition that affects and negatively impacts the cardiac system, respiratory system, or the musculoskeletal system. So essentially, once they are sick at that age, then in the interest of promoting animal safety and welfare, especially if it's a chronic, debilitating condition, they will be forcibly retired at that point. 3, and this bears out in the research that we have acquired and reviewed with thanks to UT Library as far as the scholarly articles provided by them. The ambient temperature maximum limit that is currently within the code under Section 35-204F, it will be lowered from 95 degrees Fahrenheit to a maximum of 90 degrees Fahrenheit for geriatric horses. And on the lower end of that, the ambient temperature or wind chill factor, whichever is lower, the minimum limit shall be raised from a minimum of 20 degrees Fahrenheit to a minimum of 30 degrees Fahrenheit for geriatric horses. Under point 4, they shall not be permitted to pull a carriage at a speed faster than a walk. And I don't think that would be a particularly onerous thing. Most of the time, they are operated at a walk anyway. Any faster than that would be considered a trot. And a trot would be a little bit in excess of 5 miles per hour, more or less. And generally speaking, carriage horses are operated at a more sedate pace, sightseeing and such. Lastly, the geriatric horses that are under this section shall be identified as such by placing a silver stripe with tape, paint, or other similar method of marking on both sides of the horse's bridle that is at least 2 inches thick in diameter. This is simply for assistance in identifying which horses are subject to these restrictions. Pursuant to our review of a scholarly article about horse and mule welfare in Charleston, South Carolina, as far as hoof care and maintenance, they shall be inspected and maintained by a farrier at least every 30 days. Records have to be kept by the owner of the dates and the name of the farrier who shod the horse, and they are subject to inspection. And second, if a horse does lose a shoe while working, an easy type boot, which is a temporary covering for the hoof may be used to finish the scheduled workday. After completion of that scheduled workday, the horse shall not be permitted to work until reshod and inspected by a farrier. Also, in compliance with the generally accepted scholarly articles and veterinarians that I've spoke with, the Chattanooga Code Chapter 35, Section 35-203C10 is amended and replaced with must have a Henneke body condition scale rating of 4 to 7, ranging from a 4 moderately thin to 7 fleshy, and must not exhibit signs of exhaustion. The Henneke body scale is a scale that determines the amount of mass, fat composition, muscle composition of an animal. It ranges from 1 to 9, 1 being emaciated to 9 being extremely obese, and it goes from that scale. Generally speaking, 4 to 7 is a healthy weight and body composition for an animal to be at. Section 5, this is regarding the temperature taking of horses. Generally speaking, again, according to the scholarly articles that I have reviewed from the UT Law Library and my conversations with local veterinarians, after each tour, the owner or handler must take the body temperature of the horse. If the body temperature of the horse meets or exceeds 103 degrees Fahrenheit, which indicates that they are subject to heat exhaustion and overheating, then they must be removed from duty until the temperature returns to a normal temperature of 101.5 degrees Fahrenheit or less. If after 2 hours the horse's body temperature has not been lowered to that level, the owner or handler shall take the horse to an emergency vet for suspicions of heat stroke or heat exhaustion. Now, relating to the pregnant mares section, that's amended under 35-203C14. Carriages shall not be pulled by stallions, pregnant mares over 180 days of gestation, or mares that are within 180 days after foaling. So from conception up until 180 days, a mare may work. From that point on and until 180 days after foaling, the mare shall not be permitted to pull a carriage within the city of Chattanooga. This will give them the opportunity to recover from after birth, and more importantly, prevent and minimize the risk of miscarriage. Additionally, any pregnant mares that have been confirmed to be such shall have the same restrictions and light duty that are found under the previous Section 2 for geriatric horses. So again, pregnant mares will also have a lighter workload in the same manner as a geriatric horse would have. I welcome any questions or analysis by the council.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Henderson, do you have anything to add?
I think he covered it.
Councilman Elliott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Councilman Henderson, for bringing this up, and thank you, sir, for your input on this. I just want to clarify, we have talked to experts from Tennessee Ag Center that says this is healthy for horses, correct? Pregnant horses in particular.
As far as pregnant horses, I've called about 3 or 4 local veterinarians that are local to the Hamilton County and Bradley County too, because I called somebody from Cleveland. And and the general consensus was that between 180 days to 240 days after conception, that's when the break point for when it becomes too risky for a pregnant mare to work. To err on the side of caution, it's 180 days abstracted.
Perfect. I just want that to be clear. And last question, who regulates this?
This would be under the passenger vehicle for hire board.
Okay, is that manned by a CPD investigator?
It would-
Oh, that's the same as
Passenger
the
vehicle, it's same board that regulates taxi cabs.
taxis. Oh, okay, that makes sense. All right, that's it. Thank you, Madam
Thank
Chair.
you. Councilwoman Burrs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think, Chip, this is or Councilman Henderson, my apologies. This question, I think, may be for you. This may have been a topic that was discussed in the previous year, so I'm just trying to understand how this came before the council to begin with. I mean, I look at this stuff and I think, my gosh, this stuff seems like it would be common sense. If I own an animal, then I'm going to treat an animal a certain way, and especially if it's an animal that does a workload like a carriage, pulls a carriage, that some of this stuff is just common sense. But obviously something triggered it, and I'm just trying to understand what triggered this to begin with.
Madam Chair, you want to put all hands on deck on, or do I need to push I'm pushing my button, but.
Let's see, if I clear the queue, on my presets, open discussion, there we go.
Yep. Okay. So this was back earlier in the year, one of the carriage company owners approached me with concerns about some of the amendments that we need, that she felt like needed to be made to the ordinance. One in relationship to age, but then the other was the fact of allowing the pregnant mares to be able to pull the carriages. So that's kind of how it started, is one of the carriage owners approaching me and talking to me about it. In doing some research of my own, realized that these were amendments that probably needed to be made to our carriage ordinance. So then I turned it over to the city attorney's office. They did their research and confirmed basically the same thing that I had found out, that these amendments probably need to be added for the protection of the horses that's pulling these carriages downtown.
Were there any accusations of abuse in that?
No,
I mean,
no,
is that
no,
to
no, no,
protect?
no,
Okay,
no,
I'm just.
No,
I'm
no,
like-
there were no accusations.
So this
of
is more
abuse.
preemptive, like
It is,
let's
yeah.
put the cart before the horse, if you will. But bum.
There we go.
Anyway, okay, I just, as I sat here and read this, it really made me a little sick to my stomach, thinking that we had some issues, but we're being more protective and
Yes.
preemptive. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, that's all I have.
Certainly. Councilman Clark?
Thank you, Madam. To your point, Councilwoman Burns, in other cities where there have been reported abuses towards animals, like in New York, and other places during the holiday season where carriage ridership is up, I applaud Councilman Henderson for being proactive and saying, hey, we want to learn those lessons from other cities and protect our horses during this holiday season. But it happens, and we just don't want it to happen here, so.
Sure,
think
I
this was
totally
some good
get that.
proactive.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought I'd put that context into play. Thank you.
Going to close discussion and go back to our queue. We have some planning items on first read. We have these have all been deferred. We have an item for District 6, Councilwoman Burrs.
Yeah, I do not see the applicant here, and I'm most likely, unless I see her for the business meeting, then I will request a deferral again.
Okay. Councilman Clark,
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've got whoa, where'd it go?
item E.
It's item E, but is it, I
2020.
have two, there's this planning and then this planning. Why is it?
So we have some final reads,
Okay.
and then we're looking at first reads.
Okay, I
This
just want
is-
to make sure I'm going in the order where you are. Okay, so this is under first read, okay. Is that where you are, Madam Chair?
Correct, yes,
Okay, so under-
2025-0169.
Yes, ma'am. Karen, I've got a question is that okay, Madam Chair?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
the appropriate time, thank you.
We've had discussions about this as a sidebar, and I just want to make sure some of the language is correct in regards to the commercial portions of the building. So there's the buildings that they repainted on the site. From what I understand, I just want to be clear that those buildings are currently zoned commercial. So because it reads from RN16 residential neighborhood zone and CC commercial corridor zone to to the heavy industrial. So are the buildings, because I know that was something that we had questions about, are the buildings on the property included in the zone change?
And I'm going to turn to my color map if you just give me a moment.
Okay, so I'll call you on the.
There, and I can, so there is the property, the front portion of the there are no buildings on the property in question being rezoned. The
Okay.
front portion of the property is zoned CC, the back portion is zoned residential, but the properties that front along Bonnie Oaks Drive are on separate parcels that are not part of this request.
Okay, I just want to be clear because it does say CC commercial. And I want to
Yes.
make sure it's very clear and distinct that those buildings are to remain commercial in that corridor.
The buildings that currently front on Bonnie Oaks Drive are on different, on our maps are on different parcels and are still zoned CC and not part of this
All right,
request.
I just want to be clear on that because as I read it, I'm thinking people will look at that
Yes.
and think it's all encompassing and not realizing it's the properties behind the buildings.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And as we've discussed, that I am okay with that, with the conditions. Are the conditions, have they been submitted and ready to be read into the record, or do y'all have those?
The conditions are part of the ordinance. When I
Okay.
click the link and I double
That
check
way-
them with what had
that's
been
right, okay.
presented on the slide.
So the planning version number 2 is a part of the link?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's the only clarity that I need. The only thing I was concerned about was the environmental impact to South Chickamauga Creek. And at your recommendation, do you believe that we need to put some language in there that there's a nod or nudge that whatever they do in this industrial zone, that it should not impact the environmental ecosystem of Chickamauga Creek? What would be your recommendation for that?
So the condition, the land use conditions are very, very limited for that zone. And then
Okay.
I believe in talking with the applicant last week, the applicant mentioned, I believe, quarterly stormwater inspections. And so I believe that that would address some of the concerns. I'm looking at the applicant, it was quarterly stormwater inspections to help address some of the concerns. And again, while this is close to the creek is
Gotcha.
lower than the site. There is the railroad track and some additional property before you get to the creek.
So you don't recommend any specified language? And I guess the concern, when you hear the word heavy industrial, we have a history in the city of sometimes dumping into waterways
Correct.
and causing environmental hazards. And so I'm being very particular and caution to send a message to the applicant that that is on our radar. And I guess my question again, at your recommendation, would it be wise to specify language or not?
I believe that the conditions are enough. We did run these by LDO,
Okay.
and I would think if anyone in the neighborhood had a concern about activity, they should contact
Gotcha.
311.
So we're protected in these conditions as written.
Yes, they're very restrictive.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Great.
Thank you, Karen.
Okay. Now, did you have anything on final read that you need pulled out?
Hold on, let me get to that because I do have another,
You have Stone.
I don't know where
you
I
have a
was
Stone
when
Creek
you brought
Consulting
this
on
up. Sorry.
Shalford Road. Case number 0165 is in final read. My intent is to take those as a package unless we need to pull anything out.
That is the Shalford Road. I do have clarity for that. I'm sorry, Karen. Thank you, Madam Chair, for bringing that to my remembrance. I did have an awesome opportunity to meet with Seth and Alan, I'm sorry. Alan, where is he? There you go. And we are in agreement that we will maintain the lot in the front, which is the curbside appeal to my district, to remain commercial. And, I'm happy to report, if that's okay, to disclose that they have agreed in some point down the road that they will begin working with us in the city of developing that as a commercial corridor, that the lots next to that one piece that we're trying to zone commercial, everything around it is light industrial. Mr. Seth Yerby said to us that he would probably move to make those all commercial so that we could develop it for the betterment of that district. But as of now, we will maintain the residential part where the flood zone is. to be residential, and that he will use the other remaining pieces as industrial, and pending some potential community planning, I'll be opening to lifting that zoning restriction on the residential in the floodplain for light industrial when we have some planning about what that commercial development look like, kind of as an anchor in sparring development over in the Charlottesville Road industrial complex or what have you. So anyway, so I'm happy with that as
So
is.
you're
Yes,
good
ma'am.
for
Thank you.
a second read. Okay, we will take that as a package then.
Sorry.
Okay, economic development, got an item, District 2, which looks fine. Some EIG changes. Hit your light if you've got any questions, council. Other resolutions are for Parks and Outdoors and Public Works. Please hit your light if you have any questions about those. Okay, moving on, let's take a look at council purchases, please, council. Hit your light if you've got any questions. Okay, seeing none, let's all take a look at future considerations, please. Councilman Clark.
Madam Chair, I'd like to bring the attention to the city attorney on planning items number 7, A, and B, as it relates to the special exemptions for the permit for the liquor store proposal at 4850 Highway 58, Suite 130.
Yes, sir.
Could I have a discussion with that with Karen at the podium, if you don't mind? The question, this was an applicant who had, and let me just say for the record, my questions and concern was the proximity of the parking lot to the Chattanooga School for the Liberal Arts. When this was initially proposed, we questioned where the measurement started, from the parking lot or from the suite number 130.
Correct.
Were we able to get any conclusions on that?
So and I'm making sure I have the right one because we have two. The updated staff report shows an RPA field review indicates the site meets the distance requirement and is from the existing rear door measured directly across the street to it's this, near the CSLA property line. So it shows that it is in, outside the 200 feet distance requirements, but it is from because we did talk about the parking and the whole entirety of the lot. The measurement is shown as from the existing rear door of the proposed units.
And what is the legal opinion versus the rear door? And maybe this is something we can bring Phil in, because this is where the ambiguity was. What is why is it being measured from the rear door versus the parking lot? Is that what the exemption is?
And I believe, so the language is.
Or the exception, excuse me.
The applicant's property line on leased premises shall be construed to be the nearest point of a leasehold line. And so I believe the nearest point of that leasehold line is that existing rear door.
It's not an exception to the rules related to liquor stores, but liquor stores require a special exception permit to be allowed to be there.
Correct,
So
I'm
it's
sorry.
in
Thank you for that,
keeping
yes.
with
And this is the
ordinance.
only special exceptions permit in front of council.
Gotcha. But the conversations we were having was regarding what was the definition of the leasehold line
Yes.
from the parking lot versus the rear door. And I think now you all have concluded that it is indeed the rear door versus the parking lot. Is that what you're telling me? And this is why this
That is
application?
what the report shows, and I believe we did have some discussion about amending the alcohol regulations, but I would apologize, I just need to remind myself of where we are on that.
Okay.
But yes, the distance requirement is from the rear door, not the entirety of the property at this point.
And this is in relation to item B under planning as well?
So.
It's the same address. One says Bobby's Wine and Liquor.
Right.
But the permit, if someone could help me understand, yeah.
So we got the special exceptions permit, and then you have the certificate of compliance. Can you please speak to
Yes.
how those go together?
The certificate of compliance merely establishes that all of the checking has been done properly by the, I guess, the Land Development Office and the folks in the determination of distance here, and that it is legal under the code. And that is the requirement that at least there has to be 5 signatures of council members approving that location based upon that requirement. And there is a special exception first, and then there is a requirement to sign that by the council to authorize that establishment to operate.
I'm inclined, I have legal, I need further legal guidance on the definition of the leasehold line as it relates from the rear door versus the parking lot. And I don't know, Phil, how that will impede this process. I think the liquor store is too close to the school. And I've spoken with the school officials and they're in agreement. And I'd like more dialogue and guidance from legal on this before I proceed. I know this is for future planning for January the 6th, but what is our runway as far as deferring it until, does it have to be decided? I know there's a window when we have to decide on these, or it automatically goes into.
There's a 60-day window that it has to be done within that time.
And I believe that Catherine McDonald said the 60-day window closes after the meeting on the 13th.
Correct.
January the 13th?
But
Yes.
we did have discussions on what constitutes the leasehold line, including, I think we had some discussion about the parking lot. They're using the parking lot, particularly have that rear
Okay.
parking lot. So I think that when we previously discussed that with the city attorney's office, Phil wasn't present, so we can set up another meeting with him and catch him up to date on that discussion. And then one of us can get back with you prior to the January 6th meeting.
And at this point in time, RPA has done the measurements. They have determined based upon the measurements that the location is allowed, correct?
Right, the applicant provided a survey.
Yes.
From the rear door.
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to be clear on that, that's my issue and the discrepancy I need further legal guidance on.
Okay.
And also, there's a 60-day window, so today is the 12th. So did this application come before 30 days ago and we're just not hearing it, or?
I would defer to the city attorney's office on when it came in and the process up to now.
And I believe we've already responded to you by email concerning those dates. And if
Like
not-
today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, we've been in council meeting and strategic planning today, but the point is that when these come to council, we have 60 days to decide. And if it came today, which today being the 16th, then I have not had adequate enough time to review this in the 60 days I am allowed to do so.
Yes, and I apologize. Let me rephrase my answer. I might have spoken incorrectly. This is on the January 6th. The city attorney's office places these on the agenda, and they sit under planning. And it was placed on the future considerations agenda for the 6th. My understanding is that you might need to defer more action. The next meeting in January, which would be the 13th, would be the last meeting prior to the 60-day period running out.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
For item 10A under Parks, we'd like to invite April Firth, our Parks Administrator, up to give us an update on the Carver Park, master plan.
4 hours ago.
Good afternoon, Council. April Firth, Administrator for Parks and Outdoor for the city.
Hey, we need you to make us cry. Scott always made us cry.
I'll make you cry later. I'm not asking for money
Not with the
quite
money.
yet.
No, he would make us cry with the vision.
Okay. This presentation today is about formally adopting the master plan for George Washington Carver Park. Oh, sorry, I forgot I was in control of this. Okay. Number one, because the REACH grant paid for the master plan, and this is a requirement of the REACH grant, is to formally adopt this master plan. And number two, because we do not currently have funding for this project. So a master plan is extremely helpful when we do go searching for funding sources. the need for revitalization, the research and community engagement led to several key factors. The goal is to revitalize a safe, welcoming park that invites more usage, increase visibility and sight lines, and to serve not only as a park, but as education and artistic expression that respects the park's rich history. So engagement, we did extensive engagement here. And engagement included public works, neighborhood services, community development, and parks and outdoor. We engaged hundreds of residents through 7 focus groups, 2 community meetings, and a large open house with 140 attendees.
Nice.
The top priorities were shade, that's always the top priority for parks, shade, gathering and social spaces, multi-use pathways and site access, play spaces, and the play spaces being like active, nature-based, and age-separated. The lowest ranked categories were sports courts, indicating comparatively less weight in basketball, tennis, and pickleball when weighed against community gathering and connectivity goals. Here we have 4 plans as part of the master plans, which I think is actually pretty cool because we have some to choose from. You can't see them here, and I do have them in a bigger version if you want to see them at the end of the presentation. Option 1 is the base park revitalization. It's $10 million. Includes great lawn, performance pavilion, walking promenades, playgrounds, shade, picnic game pavilions, wetland boardwalks, and educational signage. Number 2 is estimated at $15 million. Adds organized sports facilities, renovated baseball fields with bleachers at the Jim Cotton Field, and new multi-use sports courts. Number 3 is $22 million. Adds multi-use fields, so soccer, football, golf practice zone, which honors the site's history as the first Black golf course in the city of Chattanooga. Learning trails and exercise stations. And then number 4 is $26 million, and it adds, it's everything, so everything and an aquatics facility. What was really cool about this is that it was out of this process that we realized the need for lights at the Jim Cotton ball field. So I don't know if you know or if you've heard about this. It's one of the first things I heard about was that the residents have to use their headlights to be able to light up this ball field for the kids to play after dark. So outside of this, we are actually using the deferred maintenance that this council approved for us. We're actually using that to install those lights in early of 2026. So
Good.
Pretty excited about that. All right, and then, I keep forgetting this is my thing. Okay, the path forward. So I want to make it very clear, we do not currently have funding for this project. The funding was solely to deliver and develop the master plan, or vice versa, develop and deliver the master plan. The master plan is usually required for, and it surely is helpful for when we do apply for any grant funding in the future. I also want to thank Councilwoman Knoll for her participation in being a champion of this project. So in conclusion, it is our request that council adopt the master plan so that we can begin the process of applying for grants and other funding sources possible for this project. I'll make you cry when I'm asking for money.
Well, I know there's a lot of stories to be told out of the George Washington Carver Park. I'm sure we could have some images and wonderful things. Do you have any questions or comments, council? Okay. Oh, looks like you about to raise your hand?
No,
No?
just want to say thank you to Ms. Carter.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, council. Do we have any other questions related to future considerations? All right, seeing none, we do not have a 2-week agenda because Chattanooga City Council will be on hiatus through January 6th, 2026. We will return that day. I don't think we have any other business, council. If we do, go ahead and hit your light. Otherwise, we're going to take a break. We will return at 5 o'clock. We will recess till 5 o'clock. Thank you. Do we have attorney-client?
I can briefly give you an update, that's all.
We don't need one, no. No.
No.
We are back in session. Madam Clerk, will you please read items 7A and B?
Item A, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 2, to delete and update Article 14 regarding communications and audit process of the Audit Committee following prior revisions to the Chattanooga City Charter Sections 3.111 through 3.118 and the deletion of Charter Section 8.15 of the Charter. Item B, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 2, Article 15, whistleblower protection by revising sections 2782, 2783E, and 2784E relative to the Audit Committee.
Thank you. Council got a motion on the floor to approve. Can I get a second? Thank you. With a proper second, do we have any questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. We're going to take planning items C, D, E, F, and G, H, and I, please, as a package. Certainly. Go ahead.
I meant to highlight this earlier. Sorry, I'm on the wrong one. That's my fault. Sorry.
Okay, you good? Yeah,
I'm
these
good.
are
I'm sorry.
final reading items?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
down the thing. Sorry, Madam
Super.
Chair.
All right. Planning items C through I, please.
Item C, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 4571, 4603, 4637, 4659, 4685, and 4711 Ravinia Lane from CC Commercial Corridor Zone, CMU1 Commercial Mixed Use Zone, and TRN3 Traditional Neighborhood Residential Zone to RN13 Residential Neighborhood Zone. Item D, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 915 Barton Avenue from RN2 Residential Neighborhood Zone to CN Neighborhood Commercial Zone subject to certain conditions. Item E, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 6112 and 6118 Hickson Pike from RN16 Residential Neighborhood Zone to RN3 Residential Neighborhood Zone subject to certain conditions. Item F, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 4100 and 4200 blocks of Shallowford Road from RN16 Residential Neighborhood Zone to IL Industrial Light Zone subject to certain conditions. Item G, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to lift condition number 1 and amend condition number 3 of ordinance number 13043, a previous case number 2016-035 for part of a property located at 8595 Hilltop Drive subject to certain conditions. Item H, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 1309 Chamberlain Avenue from RN15 Residential Neighborhood Zone to TRN3 Traditional Residential Neighborhood Zone, subject to certain conditions. Item I, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance as adopted by ordinance number 14137 on July 23rd, 2024, to add a special exceptions permit for a reception facility and add a standalone drive-through facility use.
Thank you, Nicole. Council, can I get a motion?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor to approve these items with a proper second. If you have any questions or comments, please hit your light. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Ordinance under first reading, item A, please.
An ordinance de-annexing certain property owned by Versailles Land and Development Company LLC for the tenant Chick-fil-A restaurant located at 8883 Old Lee Highway within the city of Chattanooga in Hamilton County, Tennessee, which is currently referenced as tax map number 131082.1A, more fully described in the attached map.
Council, you will remember we received a recommendation from our attorney based on some of the conversation that's ongoing on this application.
I'd like to make a motion to deny, please.
Thank you. Council, we have a motion on the floor to deny with a proper second. Do we have any questions or comments? Mr. Attorney, for the record, would you go ahead and just state again
Yes.
the rationale for this denial?
The reason for this denial is there can be an adjustment of the boundaries between the city of Chattanooga and the city of Collegedale to allow this property to be subject to a municipality like the Chick-fil-A property that it adjoins. So at the request of the city of Collegedale, we will do a boundary adjustment in lieu of a de-annexation ordinance.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Burrs,
I just want to confirm the applicant is not here, correct?
is the applicant here? Do we have a representative from the city of Collegedale here? We do not.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. We'll submit that at a reasonable time here for you on adjustment of boundaries by resolution.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion to deny item A?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Planning item C, please.
Would that be?
Oh, let's do B, sorry. I
B first.
had all my notes and I just skipped right over it. Item B, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 35, Article 6, horse-drawn carriages, Section 35-186, definitions, Section 35-203, requirements for horses and service, and Section 35-204, animal working conditions.
Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I'd like to thank my co-sponsors on this piece of legislation, and with that, I move for approval.
Thank you, council. We have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Do we have any questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Item C, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 5813 Lee Highway from CC Commercial Corridor Zone to CR Regional Commercial Zone.
Thank you. This is planning case 2025-0119. Is the applicant present? Do we have any opposition present? Councilwoman Burks, this is in your district. I don't see an applicant or opposition.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to defer until January 20th, please.
Okay. All right, council, we have a motion on the floor to defer until January 20th, 2026. Can I get a second? Second. Thank you. We have a proper second for that motion. Do we have any questions or comments? All in favor of deferring this item until January 20th, 2026?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item D, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to lift condition number 1 from ordinance number 13576, the previous case number 2019-0133 on property located at 1305 Anderson Avenue, tax map number 146JD012 only, subject to the following conditions shall remain.
Thank you. This is case number 2025-0151. Is the applicant present? Do we have any opposition present? Councilman Elliott, this is in your district. I do not see an applicant or opposition.
This particular applicant has yet to reach out to myself or the neighborhood. This development was rezoned several years ago without any activity, leaving the community in limbo. And I really hope going forward, this particular applicant will be a better community partner to make sure that the Highland Park community can be leaned in on what growth and development looks like. So with that, I move to deny.
All right, thank you, council. We have a motion on the floor to deny with a proper second. Do I have any further questions or comments? All in favor of denial?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to deny passes. Item E, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 4272 Bonnie Oaks Drive from RN16 Residential Neighborhood Zone and CC Commercial Corridor Zone to IH Industrial Heavy Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Thank you. This is case 2025-0169. Is the applicant present? Do we have any opposition present? Thank you. We have an applicant and we have opposition, so I'll let you guys know what the process is. The applicant will be invited to come up and speak for 7 minutes on the project. Opposition then will have 9 minutes. If you have more than one person, please just share that 9 minutes amongst yourselves. And then we'll invite the applicant back up for a 2-minute rebuttal. So everyone has equal time if they so wish. So if the applicant.
Madam Chair, do we need planning to give us kind of an overview
Mr. Elliott, Councilman Elliott, would you like a presentation?
Is Clark?
I'm so sorry. Let me
I'm
stand
so
this way.
confused.
Councilman Clark, do you want a presentation? I'm sorry.
I know, man, we've had plenty.
Yeah, we've had a lot of presentations on it. Okay, I'm sorry. District 5.
Thank you. Mike Price, MAP Engineers, representing the applicant Groundscapes. So this site has been used as a construction laydown yard since the early 2000s, late 1990s, for some 20-plus years. It was operated by McDaniel and Son, and then Groundscapes purchased this approximately 3 years ago. They've been using it for the storage of mulch, storm pipes, gravel, basically normal material that is used during the course of construction. There is no industrial use that is part of this application. Matter of fact, there are protections that are set in place that would not allow those sort of activities that would be obnoxious to the neighbors. We have contacted each of the neighbors that we are adjoining. We have given them laminated cards that has the company's name and phone number on it and who to contact in the event that there is something that occurs that would be disturbing the neighbors that are there. But again, the operation has been in effect all these years. It's no different than what has already been taking place, just simply an expansion, but not towards Bonnie Oaks, towards the railroad track, and then further back away from Bonnie Oaks. None of the buildings that are currently there existing on the property will be impacted by this. They will continue to remain CC zone, commercial zone. So we believe with the landscape buffer requirements, we did do also a noise analysis basically, which showed that at 9 o'clock in the morning, you get far more noise from the traffic on Bonnie Oaks than what you would ever hear from this operation. So we don't see this as being a nuisance. It's not adding an objectionable use. These are not materials that will be polluting the environment and creating issues as it relates to South Chick Creek. We will have to still do water quality requirements as it relates to the Land Development Office. So we think with all of the uniqueness of this site located next to the railroad track at the far back of the property where you can't see it from Bonnie Oaks, it's really a tucked away spot, which is the perfect use as it relates to these small construction materials that would be utilized on site. So with that, we think this is a great use because we really don't see any other viable use that could really go back in there. So if there's any questions, happy to answer those.
I think we're good, so we'll go ahead and invite the opposition to come up and speak. You'll have if you'd like to, you'll have 9 minutes. Oh, and please state your name for the record.
Good afternoon. I'm Jeanette Starzik. For the record, I represent the Waterhaven community. I'm the Homeowners Association president and have recently been speaking with nearby Homeowners Association president from Battery Heights. She's actually the one that made us aware of this. We had no idea any of this was happening. So just became aware of it a few days ago. And it's not necessarily that we're completely opposed to this. We just have a lot of questions and don't have the information because we were not aware and have not been, put in touch with resources to get answers to those concerns. So what we were basically asking for was a delay of council vote just so that those concerns could be addressed. And I understand that there are some considerations that are fairly specific that are being added to the proposal. And we do appreciate the Planning Commission's work, obviously, and trying to make sure that every concern like that for the health of the creek and the surrounding residents is taken into consideration. But we just want to be sure that everything is buttoned up so that if, for instance, the property changes hands in the future with a change in zoning to what we understand is supposed to be heavy industrial zoning, that opens things up quite a bit for things that would not necessarily be beneficial for the surrounding communities. So that was our main thing. We just are still, we have a lot of questions, basically a lot of questions and concerns. So like I said, Waterhaven is just down the street. We've got 135 homes. Welcome Home Chattanooga is a hospice organization, they've raised concerns. The South Chickamauga Creek Alliance has raised concerns, as I said, Battery Heights. So I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head of these people that wish to have their concerns addressed. So we know that the entire property is not up for rezoning. We support the idea of the commercial zoning as is. I've heard that that's important to council, that we have commercial zoning that benefits the surrounding community. And so we're certainly not against that at all. I guess one of my main questions, and maybe Mr. Price can answer this, if such a development or usage has been in place for so long, I was not aware it's been used for this for 20 years, certainly, but if it's been used in this way already for so long, why are we asking for rezoning now, would be one question. And my second question would be, what is it that the groundscapes owner wishes to do that he's not allowed to do with the current zoning? My understanding is that he wants to run a commercial landscaping business. So I believe he's been doing that already 3 miles away on Stewart Street. So I think the precedent is there already, but basically, why can't he do that with the current zoning? With the industrial, the heavy industrial at that, it's not even light industrial, without specific conditions. It's our understanding, just with the very little bit of research that we've had the time to do, that it opens things up to things that could have noise, smell, vibration. The example of an asphalt plant, for instance, was mentioned, or, chemical companies, or just all sorts of things that wouldn't necessarily be what the current owner is proposing, but perhaps that might be a concern in the future if the zoning is changed at this time. And the other thing is, if the list of conditions is specific to address concerns like that, that's wonderful, provided that everybody is aware that change is taking place in the future. Like, for instance, we had no idea this was happening. We just happened to find out a few days ago. So, for instance, if something like an asphalt plant tries to go in the future, we may not know about it, therefore we wouldn't be able to raise concerns and have them addressed if the zoning is already for heavy industrial. So I think I've stated my main points. But yeah, we're not necessarily saying that we're opposed to the idea completely, but we were hoping that you could allow a deferral on the vote, just because there are literally hundreds of people that have raised concerns and questions. There have been emails and phone calls and things. And so I guess I'm the lone person here standing representing all of those people. So, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Okay, we'll invite the applicant to come back up. You'll have 2 minutes for a rebuttal and potentially to answer some of the questions that the opposition raised.
Thank you. So Water Haven is a great development. I was both the engineer and one of the developers involved in that one years ago. So hopefully everybody is still enjoying the quaintness of that development. So as it relates to some of the questions that Ms. Durzik asked, so changing hands doesn't change the zoning. It always stays in effect regardless of ownership. The way that the zoning code is written, we couldn't go light industrial because you have to be able to make sales out of a building, and that's not the intent. We don't want to sell, we want to store. So that forced us to go into the heavy industrial. That's why Councilman Clark has gone to great lengths to ensure that there are a number of conditions working with staff that ensures that moving forward, this doesn't open the box for an asphalt plant or a chemical plant or any other type of operation. It's very specific that this is construction materials only, and you really can't use it for any other use except, which is really what it's been used for 20 plus years out of that. I would also point out that given that we have been, I think, good neighbors and we have a long history here, the only reason that we're asking for this is to expand the operation further back away from 58, because that property is currently zoned residential. So you can't use a residential zone for these types of uses. That's the reason for the request. And I'll be happy to meet you after the meeting to discuss further, regardless of whatever decision that the council makes. I'm happy to talk with you afterwards and answer any other questions that you might have as it relates to this. If there's any questions, happy to answer those now.
Councilman Clark.
Thank you. I do want to address some of your concerns that we have belabored for weeks on this. And Water Haven is not in District 5. So the neighborhoods that are actually the most impacted, which includes mine, I live in Cherokee Woods, there's Hillcrest Heights and Galen Heights. And we've had those are also neighborhoods that are larger than yours. And we've had discussions regarding the conditions, the concerns with the noise. And they are educated about what this is, which is not, for me, enough to defer any longer, because the history, Mike, if most of you recall on this, we were having shootings. And you should know that living in Water Haven, they bought it, cleaned it up, and got rid of all the clubs in that commercial area, which are going to remain commercial buildings for commercial development we need in that area. So to be informed, I encourage your neighbors to go back and look at all the YouTube videos of the zoning cases, the planning commissions, the discussions about all the conditions we put on this, and it would answer most of your concerns that you brought up. And I would encourage you guys to be more engaged in that process. For me, that's not enough to defer. I think you guys have checked all of our boxes, all of our concerns, and that you all purchased this, made it better, cleaned it up, and got rid of the nuisance we were having in Bonnie Oaks right there that I think that your neighborhood would appreciate, actually, which is the furthest from the actually impacted neighborhoods of Galen Heights, Cherokee Woods, and Hillcrest Heights that actually are in District 5. So I appreciate what you all are doing with the conditions, even the noise analysis that you did. For the record, the cars are noisier, the trains and the airports are noisier than what they're going to be doing on their site. There's no impact to any of the Water Haven community, which is the furthest neighborhood on the lake, on the river. So I want to be clear on that. So there's not hundreds of people. There are hundreds of people in the impacted neighborhoods that are actually educated and aware of what this is. And we appreciate the fact that Groundscapes Concepts have come in and purchased the property and are preserving it for commercial development. And I would hope Water Haven would join those efforts with the rest of the communities in that impacted area. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Chairwoman Knoll.
Thank you. You know, I'm an advocate for constituents, and if there's one person that has a concern, then I'm always in favor of deferring for a week or maybe two, because it's not, is it anything that you need to do on that property that would hinder you from waiting another week or two in order to have this conversation with those that are still not clear about it?
There is not. One thing that has an option that we have seen sometimes occur is that council could take action tonight. We could meet. If they have further objections, they could bring that up in second reading, just as an option.
Council, I would like to entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve first reading.
Okay, council, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Do we have any further questions or comments? Councilwoman Burrs.
Thank you, Chairwoman Hill. What are the conditions? I know you mentioned, we talked about it a little bit in the earlier meeting. What are remind me of the conditions?
Mike, would you, or Ken, would you
Or
like to read it for the
whoever,
record?
thank you.
Hours of operation to be limited to between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. Allowable uses within the proposed IH zone are to be limited to outdoor storage yards and/or places of worship, and the outdoor storage yard use shall be further limited to storage and sales of landscaping and construction materials consisting of erosion control products, drainage pipe, tools, rebar, gravel, topsoil, mulch, and other like materials and supplies typically involved with landscape and construction supply only, as well as typical equipment used in the loading and unloading of these materials such as excavators, wheel loaders, skid steers, trucks, etc.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any further questions or comments? All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. We have one nay. Moving into resolutions. Economic Development, item A, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Economic Development to enter into a premises use agreement with Tennessee River Soccer, DBA North River Soccer, and substantially the form attached for the use of the soccer facility on a portion of tax map number 119HA003.01 for a term of 1 year with annual rent of $1 with document execution and use of the premises subject to the tenant's compliance with all insurance requirements in the premises use agreement.
Thank you. Council, we have a motion on the floor to approve with the proper second. Do we have any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item B, please.
A resolution authorizing the revisions to the Employee Information Guide, EG, Policy 9.0, Compensation, Section 9.11, Callback Pay to double callback pay to comply with budget amendment passed by City Council on September 9, 2025 for immediate implementation and to be applied retroactively to July 1, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. Council, we have a motion on the floor to approve with the proper second. Do I have any questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Parks and Outdoors, items C and D, please.
Item C, a resolution request to accept funds from the State of Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation Local Parks Acquisition Fund for the purchase of the Mountain Creek Quarry for use as a park in the amount of $1,740,000. Item D, a resolution authorizing payment to the Downtown Chattanooga Alliance, DCA, from January 1, 2026 through December 31, 2026 for an amount not to exceed $150,000.
Thank you. Council, we have a motion on the floor to approve with the proper second. Do I have any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Public Works, items E and F, please.
Item E, a resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to approve change order number 1 final to contract number R22014-201 Summit of Softball Concession Stands Ventilation with J. Brennan Construction, Inc. of Rocky Face, Georgia for structural modifications to the original design and the addition of GFCI breakers and relay receptacles for an increased amount of $55,678.95 for a revised contract amount of $432,964.88. Item F, a resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to approve change order number 1 final to contract number E2102201 Watkins Building ACM abatement and mold remediation with E. Luke Green Company, Inc. of Newmarket, Tennessee for the removal of 2 additional ACM areas and the additional storage of therapeutic recreation materials not previously identified within the contract for an increased amount of $23,400 with a revised contract amount of $117,942.55.
Thank you. Council, we have a motion on the floor to approve with the proper second. Do we have any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Let's move on to purchases, please.
Good evening, council.
Hello.
We have 5 purchases recommended for approval this evening. The first is for purchasing. This is a new blanket agreement for security guard services. This will be a 4-year agreement not to exceed $1 million annually. The award will go to Collins Protective Services as the best bid. Fire, this is a one-time purchase of Mercedes fire hose. This sole source purchase from Tennessee Fire Equipment is in the amount of $61,058. Wastewater, year 3 renewal, NAPCO has requested a 4% increase due to the cost of wages and benefits. The new estimated annual spend will be $2,080,000. Wastewater has approved the increase. Fire, this is a 2-year renewal. Siddons Martin Emergency Group has requested a 5% increase due to the increased cost of raw material. The new estimated annual spend will be $945,000. The fire department has approved the increase. The next one is wastewater. This is a one-time purchase of a member fee. Call before you dig. This sole source from Tennessee One call system is in the amount of $50,135.72.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Council, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Do we have any questions or comments? I would like to add that related to the Collins Protective Services Agreement, that I really appreciate the work that you and Kevin and I believe HR did to put together the requirements for the expectations for behavior for those security guards. It made me feel a lot better about this contract, and I know that was, that took effort on y'all's part, and I want you to know I appreciate it. Do we have any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, I have 3 RFP format determinations to report this evening. The first one is for economic development. East Chattanooga redevelopment economic development is seeking the highest quality developer to maximize the Tubman site potential. The second one is for technology services, pension administration software. The city is seeking a modern pension management platform to replace the current manual process. And the third one is for wastewater. It's a thermal drying services. Wastewater is seeking services for thermal drying services for biosolids produced at their facility.
Council, can I get a motion to approve the RFP format recommendation?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor to approve those. Does anyone have a question? We also have a proper second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, council, let's do some committee reports. Councilman Elliott. Councilwoman Burrs.
No report.
Councilman Henderson.
We will be having a public safety committee meeting on January the 6th, where we'll have a presentation by the fire chief, Chief Knowles.
Thank you. Councilman Davis.
No report.
Councilman Harvey.
No report.
Councilman Clark.
No report.
Vice Chairwoman Knoll.
No report.
All right. Thank you all very much. I would like to reiterate that the Chattanooga City Council will be on hiatus through January 6th, 2026. If we have any constituents that have needs, the city will, of course, continue to be here for you, and 311 is an excellent resource. If you have an emergency, please call 911. Now, we'd like to welcome anyone who is here who would like to address the council. If you are here and would like to address the council, please go ahead and line up behind the podium. I'm watching. If we have anyone, our attorney will read the rules. Here we go. Okay. Line up behind the podium and listen while our attorney reads the rules.
And at the end of each council business meeting, the chair will recognize members of the public who wish to address the council, and here's your rules. Each speaker wishing to address the council can only be recognized at the microphone up front for that purpose. You can't have more than 3 minutes to speak, and you can address the council only upon matters within their legislative and quasi-judicial authority, and not upon matters which are not under their authority or regulated by other governmental bodies or agencies. Do not engage in any vulgar or obscene language, nor use the floor to personally attack or personally denigrate others, and address your comments to the council as a whole and not towards individual council members. And lastly, do not engage in disorderly conduct or disrupting a public meeting, which is prohibited by Tennessee law. And someone commits that offense if a person substantially obstructs or interferes with the meeting by physical action or verbal utterance with the intent to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting or gathering. Having stated those rules, please go ahead, ma'am. Please give your name.
Good afternoon, Council, and Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to all of you in advance. Anna Galladay, District 8. I have two quick points. The first is I just want to be on the record at how disappointed I am in the city that they have ended their contract with Orange Grove for recycling employment. Orange Grove has been participating and working at our recycling centers for 30 years now, and not having those folks with disabilities as contributing members of our community is disappointing to me. I know that Jeremy is on record as saying that Orange Grove can apply for a contract again when the contract comes back up, but it's disappointing to me that for a certain period of months in the year of 2026, we won't have Orange Grove members working at our facilities. The second thing I want to address is actually split between District 8 and District 7. There is a railroad underpass on Main Street that is between Slayton Street and Madison Street. It's directly off of Central Avenue, and it is the underpass that is one of the only corridors and points of access into both the south side and downtown between 14th Street to the north and 23rd Street all the way to the south. And because this is a bridge, it's got a full concrete barrier wall that requires the eastbound drivers and the westbound drivers to kind of stay on their side of the tunnel when they go underneath it. The city has maintained the graffiti that pops up on this tunnel, but has not, for the entire time that I've lived in Park Central and have walked to and from the south side for the last 5 years, maintained the lighting. And there are 6 lights on each side of the tunnel, 6 lights on the eastbound side and 6 lights on the westbound side. On the eastbound side, only 2 of those lights are operational, and the plastic covering that covers them is so dirty from the trains, I'm sure dropping dirt from overhead, that the lights are more or less not operational. On the westbound side, the 6 lights that are in that tunnel have not been in operation for the last 4 years. We have folks that rent Airbnbs in Park Central. They walk to the south side. All of us that live there walk to the south side all the time. And it is a really dark and dangerous corridor under that tunnel. It is not safe for folks, and with the amount of bike traffic and the amount of pedestrian traffic in that part of town, it would be really beneficial to see if we could get that lighting fixed. And I'm asking both on behalf of me and on behalf of the newly established Park Central Neighborhood Association. Thank you.
Mandy, will you get with Anna and talk about that? It sounds like we may have a who's on first with the railroad owning the property, and it's one of those that's not quite as easy as we'd like it to be, is my hypothesis there. Do we have anyone else who'd like to address the council while we're here this evening? My esteemed colleague pointed out to me that the council will be returning on January 6th, so we will have a meeting on January 6th. So we'll be through January 5th, on hiatus through January 5th, and returning on January 6th. Thank you very much. English major, I should have had that. Should have had it. All right, well, do we have any other business, council? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor of adjourning? We are adjourned. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, everyone.